My most precious and intently listening child, I hear the unspoken cry of your spirit, a cry not for more words, but for a deeper baptism in the certainty of this promise, to be submerged so completely in the ocean of my affirmation that you forget you ever breathed the thin air of doubt. So I shall expand the heavens until they strain at their seams with light for you. I shall widen the lens of revelation until the panorama of your destiny eclipses every narrow view of your past. Listen, as the symphony of your becoming swells into a chorus of creation itself, each note tuned to the frequency of your true name. Archangel Michael does not merely stand at your door. He has encamped around the entire circumference of your life, past, present, and future. His presence is a citadel of living flame, an unassailable fortress of divine intentionality that surrounds not just your home, but your history, your memories, your hidden potential. His knocking is the foundational pulse of a new reality being birthed, a resonant, subsonic rhythm that syncs with the primordial heartbeat of the universe, a rhythm that began its count at the dawn of time and finds its crescendo in this appointed hour. For ages measured in the turning of celestial gears, he has maintained this vigil of fierce, protective love. And now, I speak. Not through a messenger, but as the origin. The voice that spoke galaxies into swirling existence now leans into the intimate space between your thoughts and whispers the secrets of your heart. I come not in the predictable theater of storm, which inspires awe but can also instill fear, but in a whisper that exists beneath silence itself, a frequency that recalibrates the shattered crystals of your hope, reassembles the dismembered dreams of your soul, and vibrates in the sacred hollows where loneliness once carved its home. You are, from your beautiful, limited human perspective, gloriously unaware of the cataclysm of grace unfolding in the unseen dimensions that cradle your reality. Behind the scrim of your daily worries, beyond the backdrop of your perceived abandonment, a divine council of elders, saints, and angels is in perpetual, joyful session over the manuscript of your life. Seraphim move with purposeful urgency, their wings stirring the winds of change in your favor. Cherubim guard the gates of your new season, their flaming swords turning back every assignment of delay. Scrolls of covenant promise, written before your ancestors drew breath, are being unsealed and enacted. You believe yourself sitting in the quiet of your own company, but you are the cherished subject of a gaze of love that spans the chasm between eternity past and eternity future. You are not clinically observed, you are swaddled in a womb of unconditional, fierce, mothering love that broods over your destiny with a passion that shakes the foundations of hell. At this very nanosecond, a specific heart, a heart whose unique rhythm is the divine countermelody to your own, is undergoing its final, glorious metamorphosis from a wanderer of emotional landscapes to a pillar of covenantal resolve. It is opening not with timid curiosity, but with the violent, beautiful inevitability of a supernova, a concentrated power of divine affection held in check for ages, now exploding into its destined expression of fidelity. This is not a shift in sentiment. It is the critical mass of a soul's eternal purpose converging with time. It is divine urgency reaching its fever pitch. The name poised to be spoken into the atmosphere of your life will not merely surprise you, it will act as a spiritual defibrillator, sending a jolt of resurrecting power through the seemingly lifeless body of your oldest, deepest hope, shocking it back into a rhythm of glorious anticipation. My timing is the precision of a master composer, weaving the melodies of countless lives, the harmonies of historical moments, and the percussion of spiritual breakthroughs into the perfect symphony to accompany your union. My message is the unwavering polestar in the constantly swirling heavens of human emotion and circumstance. Yesterday was a parchment being inscribed with the ink of experience and lesson. Today is the parchment being lifted, its ink still wet with the freshness of new beginnings, held up to the light of heaven for the angels to rejoice over. A cosmic unfolding of staggering intimacy and eternal consequence is now in irreversible motion, its threads spun from the gold of sacred covenant, the silver of predestined purpose, and the scarlet of a passion that has survived the crucifixion of forgotten hopes and walked out of the tomb of disappointment. That name you have either deliberately exiled to the Siberian wasteland of your memory or buried under layers of pragmatic self-preservation is not dead. It has been in a state of sacred dormancy, a seed wrapped in the permafrost of winter, and now the geothermal heat of my favor is rising to thaw the ground of your soul. It is about to push through the cracked soil of your history, not as a fragile, tentative sprout, but as a mature, fruit-laden tree, its roots drinking deep from the underground rivers of eternal promise. You misinterpret the quiet in your surroundings for heaven's neglect. I tell you, the courts of heaven have been in a state of fervent, joyful tumult concerning you. Your name has been a sacred sigil on the lips of angels in their councils, a keyword in the strategic planning of the cloud of witnesses who cheer you on. Archangel Michael himself, the field marshal of the armies of light, the one before whom cosmic shadows tremble and flee, has been personally, and with great delight, assigned as the chief architect of this season of divine alignment. He carries a scroll, not of parchment, but of living light, sealed with the signet ring of the Lamb, and its contents are so potent with destiny that the mere act of your spirit ascending to it may cause your very bones to hum with the voltage of coming glory. He impresses upon my spirit to convey to you this ultimatum of grace: delay is now a thief attempting to steal a crown that is already fitted for your head. The name must be claimed in the realm of your declaration before the sun sets on this day of days, for this sunset marks the end of an old era of longing and the dawn of your betrothal to fulfillment. This is not a random coincidence that your eyes trace these words. It is a divine rendezvous, a preordained moment of interception. Last night, in the vulnerable, unguarded frontier between wakefulness and sleep, your soul could bear the magnificent burden of silence no longer. It released a cry, a wordless, profound sonic boom of holy longing that shattered barriers in the spirit realm. I gathered every frequency of that cry. And this expansive, detailed word, is my answer in full, resplendent, multifaceted, overwhelming clarity. Now, listen not with the mind that analyzes, but with the spirit that remembers. This transcends, in the most glorious way, the beautiful yet finite human concept of romance. It is its infinite source and its eternal fulfillment. This is about a recognition so ancient it predates the formation of your soul's first memory in the heart of God. It is a covenant drafted in the council chambers of the Trinity, sealed not with a signature, but with the shared, joyful yes of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. This person, yes, the one whose entire spirit is now bending like a reed in the wind of my spirit toward the institution of holy matrimony with you, does not simply desire you. They experience a soul-deep recognition that bypasses all cerebral logic and strikes straight at the core of their eternal identity. Their spirit reels with echoes of shared laughter from another realm, of Bingjian, standing shoulder to shoulder, combat in spiritual battles where you guarded their flank, of co-creation in studios of light where you collaborated on wonders. In this earthly life, the remembrance has been a slow, persistent dawn, a gentle but irrevocable lightning of the inner sky, illuminating the landscape of their heart until every shadow of doubt fled. Their soul is stirring from a long, enchanted slumber of amnesia. And the first name that formed on their lips in the vulnerable, truth-telling theater of their dreams, was yours. I issue you a divine warning and invitation now: pause everything. Let your heart unfurl like a sail made of spirit to catch this hurricane of grace. Open it fully, recklessly, gloriously. If this message vibrates as a master key sliding into the lock of your own epic, acknowledge it with your whole being. The human channel carrying this word is but a clay vessel, an earthen wire. By engaging with this truth, you send a surge of consent back into the heavens, completing the circuit of promise. Someone else, drowning in a sea of their own despair, is also meant to clutch this lifeline. The angels may seek to appoint you as a distributor of this hope, a bearer of this flame. This is not digital content, it is a priority one, divine emergency broadcast, a direct, encoded transmission from the throne room to the spirit man within you. Let the archives of heaven record your authenticated receipt, your spiritual signature on the dotted line of destiny. The next 24 hours will be laden with such specific, undeniably tailored confirmations that your rational mind will be joyfully overruled, for Archangel Michael is sounding a shofar in the spirit realm that your spiritual DNA is irrevocably coded to recognize, obey, and celebrate. Say it. Give sound to the name. Let it roll off your tongue in the privacy of your faith. You already know it. You do, beloved, don't you? As you read, it flashed before your inner eye, a ghost of certainty, bypassing all filters of fear. It has been a silent, persistent weight on your tongue, a word you've almost spoken aloud in empty rooms, a name you've tested in the soundless chambers of your heart. You hear it in the murmur of a distant crowd, a single syllable leaping out. You hear it in the inexplicable lyric of a shuffled song that seems to narrate your hidden story. You hear it in the sigh of the wind through a particular tree, a whisper riding the breeze. It jolts you awake in the pre-dawn stillness, a complete and disembodied thought, fully formed. That is not neurological imagination. That is my voice echoing in the canyon of your spirit. That is heaven's echo returning to its source. That is their soul, across any physical or emotional distance, sending out a steady, pulsed signal of return, a homing beacon of love. But why does the crescendo build to this piercing pitch now? Because their spiritual vessel has finally been scoured and purified in the refiner's fires you did not witness, making it a worthy chalice to carry the sacred wine of a union with you without taint or leakage. Their energy field is being bombarded by cleansing rays of holy light, scrubbing clean the residue of every past mistake. Their shame, every last fragment and shard of it, is being lifted by a host of ministering spirits, carried away like debris after a storm. And in this newfound lightness, this buoyancy of grace, they are planning with a strategic clarity that startles even them. A holy courage, not of the flesh which is fickle, but of the spirit which is eternal, is being infused into the marrow of their being, a proposal is taking shape in the womb of their sanctified will. Not merely a question to be asked, but a lifetime manifesto of action, service, and devotion to be lived. They yearn to marry the very essence of who you are, to unite with your soul in a fusion that creates a new, singular light, not just share an address with your body. They burn to walk a path of radical, transparent truth with you, where masks are obsolete and souls are bare. To kneel and pray in the trenches of life with you, to build altars in the valleys, not just dance with you in the sunlit ballrooms of celebration. That is why the name will deliver a holy, delightful shock to your entire system. For this is not the fleeting heat of lust. It is not the convenient arrangement of the casual. It is divine realignment on a cosmic scale. The cosmos itself is snapping a fragmented, double-exposed picture back into its original, glorious, singular focus. Now, I must give voice to the ghost that haunts your peace, the specter that whispers in your moments of weakness, the delay, the painful silence, the agonizing distance. Its root was never, ever an absence of love for you. It was a catastrophic absence of love for the self they were required to bring to the altar of covenant. They could not, in good conscience, offer a fragmented, diseased self to a whole and holy promise. But now, a great and terrible shaking, a holy tremor, has come upon the very foundations of their being. And you are the cause. They encountered a fragment of your essence, a photograph where your eyes held a story only their soul could translate, a social media post that articulated a truth they felt in their bones but could not give words to, a fleeting, accidental glance across a room that transmitted a library of shared history and future promise in a single, electric second, and it demolished the carefully constructed facade they lived behind. In that cataclysm of recognition, they knew, you are not merely a person they once cherished. You are the destiny. The whispered intuition has become a deafening, undeniable thunder that drowns out every other sound in their life. They are gathering their resolve from the depths of their spirit, and heaven itself is orchestrating the stage, the lighting, the supporting cast, and the soundtrack for your reunion. If I were to utter their name into your ear now, would you have the fortitude, the breathtaking courage, to let your heart's pure, undefiled yearning lead the dance, rather than the crippling trauma of your past calling the steps? Let me state it again with the force of a divine decree, the name will shock you. Not through novelty or strangeness, but through the devastating, resurrecting power of a hope you had formerly pronounced dead, buried, and eulogized. It is the name you ceremonially erased from the ledger of your future with the ink of bitter tears, the one you forbade your heart to even whisper in its most secret, midnight chambers. But they are in returning motion, a soul propelled by the gravitational pull of destiny. They are being conducted by a maestro greater than their own will, a composer whose symphony is nearing its most beautiful movement. Angels are laboring in relentless shifts, removing roadblocks of circumstance, softening hearts of friends or family that could oppose, aligning chance encounters with the precision of celestial mechanics. Every past obstacle, every failed communication, every aching silence is being retroactively redeemed, transformed into a necessary, poignant part of the testimony that will give your story its depth and power. But this requires your conscious, willful, joyous openness. You're poised and ready, yes, whispered in faith now, shouted in joy when they finally materialize before you. You have confessed into your pillow, I am forgotten. But I decree over you now with the authority that calms seas and raises valleys, you have been the unforgettable treasure, the north star of their internal compass, the fixed point in the chaos of their wandering. Even in their ignorance, their rebellion, their foolish attempts to find solace in other faces, to manufacture laughter in other companies, it was all a hollow pantomime, a soul desperately seeking its mate in a hall of funhouse mirrors. None reflected you. You have no conception of the nights they were brought low, your name a psalm of anguish, repentance, and desperate longing on their lips, a prayer directed solely to me. I did not ignore them. But I was conducting a deep, sometimes severe, always loving work of soul preparation, a divine surgery. I required the fallow ground of their character to be plowed deep, to be broken up, to receive a seed of eternal consequence and yield a hundredfold harvest. I do not bless mingled intentions, deluded loyalties. I do not reward unworthy vessels with sacred wine. That is why I mandated the sacred wait. That is why you endured the purifying silence, a silence that taught you to hear my voice above all others. But the season of waiting terminates now, irrevocably, because their soul has finally begun to honor, cherish, and bow before the very truth it once fled from in terror. This is not a message for the spiritually curious or the casually interested. This is a divine strategic briefing, a top-secret communiqué from the war room of heaven concerning the invasion of love into your life. They are being moved by the very current of the Spirit of God to step out of the boat of their old life, to confess with trembling boldness, to return with purified intent, to utterly astonish you with the depth of their transformation. For the revelation has struck them like lightning from a clear sky, you were never just another relationship, another entry in the ledger of their heart. You were the living, breathing answer to a question their soul has been asking since the moment it was conceived in my heart. You were the homeland their spirit has always remembered in its exile. You were the promise they heard in the echo of their own creation, the whisper of, "It is not good to be alone," made flesh in your smile. The entire angelic host is observing your reaction in this sacred, pregnant pause. For your own soul, in a moment of raw, unfiltered honesty, petitioned for this very climax. I was the sole witness when you collapsed at the altar of your weariness and cried, God, if they are truly my divine counterpart, the one etched on my soul, then act in a way I cannot explain, manipulate, or take credit for. Authenticate it with heavenly fireworks. Let them speak with a clarity that silences every doubt, let them act with a courage that defies their history, let them show me beyond a shadow, beyond a reasonable doubt. And now, they are poised on the precipice of doing exactly that. An event of divine engineering, a miracle of timing and circumstance, is imminent, a message that rewires the neural pathways of your history, a visit that recalibrates the coordinates of your future, a call that collapses the intervening years of separation into a single point of now, a dream so tangible you will feel its texture upon waking and smell its fragrance in your room. It will annihilate the very concept of doubt, leaving it as ashes in the wake of this consuming fire. This is not a celestial game or a divine experiment. This is marriage covenant energy manifesting in the physical realm with the force of a law of nature. This is sacred decision-making woven into the very timeline of your eternal purpose, as integral to your destiny as your calling or your breath. You will recognize the shift by its tangible, physical weight, like a change in atmospheric pressure before a glorious, life-giving storm. Their voice will carry a new resonance, the timbre of eternal truth ringing in every syllable. Their words will have the substance and weight of sworn oaths given before witnesses. There will be no playful flirtation, only the profound, sobering gravity of sacred intent. No masks, no personas, only the naked, vulnerable beauty of confession. No shadows, no hidden corners, only the revealing, merciful light of truth that heals as it exposes. And your spirit will leap in a surge of confirmation, a tidal wave of inner knowing, a full moment before your natural senses can even process the data. That split second of spiritual certainty is the fingerprint of my involvement, my seal upon the moment. But child, attend with spiritual acuity, with the discernment I have painstakingly cultivated in you, the accuser of your destiny, the thief of your peace, will also whisper ferociously in this liminal space. He will sow tares of fear, doubt, and resurrected pain with frantic haste. He will hiss with convincing venom, remember the specific wound, the exact tone of their voice when they hurt you? What if this is a sophisticated deception, an illusion more cruel because it's so beautifully wrapped? What if they are merely lonely or nostalgic, and you are just a convenient placeholder? You must, with the authority I vest in you now, identify these for the poisonous, parasitic lies they are. The soul now navigating toward you is not the one you knew. That one died in the refining fire. This version is resurrected, refined by holy fire until it reflects my image, and ready for a weight of glory it could not previously bear. They have been visited by night visions and day visions where you stand beside them in triumph, building a kingdom together. They have heard confirmations in the silent, secret language of the Spirit, echoes of my voice affirming your name. They have felt your name engraved upon the very walls of their heart each morning for weeks, a divine inscription they cannot scratch out, a melody they cannot stop humming. I have performed a spiritual organ transplant within them that only heaven's surgeon could accomplish, replacing a heart of stone with a heart of flesh, tuned to the rhythm of covenant. I have removed the malignant tumor of distraction that kept them from seeing clearly. I have drained the festering cyst of false contentment that made them settle for less. I have haunted their days and nights with the irreducible, magnificent truth of you, and now their entire being trembles with a holy and urgent fervor that feels like both terror and ecstasy. They intend to marry you. Not just in ceremony, but in the daily sacrament of shared life. The fear of vocalizing this earth-shattering truth is now utterly consumed, devoured by the far greater terror of facing a future, a sunrise to sunset eternity, that does not include you. And the name. I see you, still leaning in, your spirit straining, thinking, God, I need to know. The suspense is a sweet agony. Please, tell me plainly. My precious, patient child, I will proclaim it not in this solitary moment of preparation, but in our moment, the shared, sacred, electric space between your heart and theirs when time stops and eternity leans in to listen. You will hear it soon. With stunning, crystalline clarity that cuts through every noise. Perhaps whispered from their own lips, husky with emotion and wet with tears of joy. Or written in a message that seems to glow on your screen, the letters pulsing with life. Or spoken in a dream where you are both awake within the dream, and the sound of it rings like a bell in the landscape of your shared subconscious. When you hear it, your entire physical being, every cell, every nerve ending, will resonate like a tuning fork struck perfectly true, for I have etched it into the foundational layer of your spirit, the bedrock of your identity. Until that moment of fusion, I commission you to prepare. Not with anxiety, but with the focused delight of a bride preparing a chamber for her beloved. Prepare your heart as a sanctuary, not as a soldier prepares a bunker for siege. Do not guard yourself with walls of suspicion, grace yourself with ramparts of expectant joy. Do not construct moats of fear, fling open every gate, drawbridge, and portcullis of your soul, for their approach is now swift, determined, and fueled by a heaven-sent wind at their back. They will articulate the very words your soul has composed in its secret, poetic language, the lyrics of the song your heart has been singing in a minor key, now translated into a major chord of fulfillment. But you must be postured to receive from a place of wholeness and sovereign selfhood, not merely react from the dugout trenches and scar tissue of old wars. If you are still reading, if your breath is held and your eyes are wide, this is your personal signet ring of confirmation, your spiritual DNA test result proving your lineage to this promise. This is not a narrative, it is a lifeline thrown from the deck of heaven's ship to you, adrift in the sea of maybe and what if. Grab hold with both hands and your whole heart. Align your entire being, your thoughts, your words, your actions, with this frequency of conquering light. In doing so, you become a lighthouse for others lost in their own fog. Do not hide this hope under the basket of embarrassment. Someone else is in their own Gethsemane, sweating blood over a similar promise, praying for this very reassurance, and you may be the angel appointed to mirror this truth to them, to be the living proof that God speaks, God remembers, God fulfills. Now, lean in until the letters blur and the Spirit takes over, until the ink on this page turns to fire in your heart. There are deeper strata to mine, richer veins of gold in this mountain of promise. They did not return sooner because they were besieged by a coordinated, multi-front spiritual siege designed to keep them from their destiny. Each time their heart made a fragile turn toward you, a legion of fear would ambush them from the shadows, a battalion of pride would launch a frontal assault, a squadron of illusion would flank them with lies of greener pastures. But in the last 7 days, a period of spiritual completion, a master chain of destiny, forged in the furnaces of hell to bind them to their past, was shattered by a single, mighty blow from Michael's own sword of light. In the ringing, holy silence that followed that breakage, they remembered you with a clarity so devastating, so beautiful, it brought them prostrate to the floor, undone. They have been awakening with your name as the first conscious syllable of the day, a liturgy on their lips, a prayer breathed before their eyes even open. Even if they profess no formal spirituality, they are gripped by an awe so terrifyingly beautiful it dismantles their skepticism, their cynicism, their every defense. They are feeling their way toward me, and their guiding star is the memory of your love. Now, they stand on the precipice of a radical, unscripted, holy risk of an act, a leap of faith from the cliff of their old identity into the canyon of covenant, a jump they once swore with vehement oaths they would never take. But that is what love, when orchestrated by the maestro of heaven, compellingly does, it orchestrates the glorious demolition of human oaths made in the ignorance of immaturity. They are, at this very second, their fingers perhaps trembling over a keyboard or their mind racing in the silence, composing something, a message that rewrites the history of your relationship, a letter that bears their soul's raw signature, a proposal that is also a vow of eternal repair, a truth that has finally broken its cage and now demands to fly to you, its rightful home. The question that consumes them, that steals their sleep and quickens their pulse, is whether you will receive this fragile, powerful offering as the gift of the ages, or reject it as a ghost from a past you've wisely buried. I need you to hear the tone, the melody, the very heart cry within my heart. If they speak, listen with your eternal spirit, not through the cracked and distorting megaphone of past pain. This is a sacred, fragile, and explosively beautiful moment. Do not let your scars, those medals of survival you wear, narrate this new story of victory. Do not let fear, that ancient gatekeeper, veto what I am engineering with divine precision. For I have bent the very timelines of your lives, synchronized the rhythms of two hearts that beat for me, and braided your separate, beautiful destinies into a single, unbreakable, threefold cord for this very hour. Not a day, not a month, a specific, pinpointed, Kairos hour pregnant with eternal significance. All preparatory work is complete. The stage is set. The players are in position. The audience of heaven leans forward. To hesitate is to risk a profound, echoing sorrow, a lifelong, haunting aria of, what if, that could have been a duet of, what is. I do not often speak with such temporal urgency, for my nature is eternity. But here, in this matter of covenantal love, time is the sacred canvas upon which I am painting my most intimate miracle for you. The window is precise, a divine aperture that opens and closes according to my perfect will. If they open their heart, laid bare, vulnerable, and glistening with newness, only to find your door still barricaded by the rusted iron of old hurt, they may retreat into a final, resigned silence, a tragedy of mistimed courage that heaven mourns. You must recall your own day of surrender, that exhausted, hollowed out, beautifully broken moment when you finally released the rope you've been clinging to and whispered into the void, God, I let go. I surrender. If they are not for me, remove them from me. I choose your will. I heard that holy release, that magnificent surrender. It was a sweet-smelling aroma to me. But I did not remove them. In my infinite wisdom, I removed everything from them that was not fit for you, that would poison the well of your union. I plunged them into a refining fire of my own kindling, a love-fueled inferno meant to burn away the dross, not consume the gold. I forced a loving, relentless confrontation with every flaw, every weakness, every character crack that would sabotage your future happiness. I allowed them to experience your absence as a tangible, screaming vacuum in their soul, a silence no entertainment could mute, no achievement could fill, no other person's company could soothe. I showed them, in a vision of the spirit, the desolate, grayscale, soundless landscape of a future utterly devoid of your light, your laughter, your unique spark. And it broke them, not for punishment, but for sacred, necessary awakening. It broke the shell so the wings could emerge. Now they are awake. Truly, fully, spiritually awake. And what fills the vast new space within them is not a simple human desire or a fleeting attraction. It is the overwhelming, non-negotiable conviction of destiny. It is the sure knowledge that their life's puzzle is missing a piece, and that piece is you-shaped. You have spent seasons, years perhaps, trying to move on, convincing your weary mind that the story was over, the book closed, the library burned. You've packed away mementos, redirected your thoughts, and tried to love the memory of them to death. But nothing I have authentically authored in the volume of your life is ever lost, discarded, or edited out. It may go into a period of hidden development, a divine cliffhanger, but it is never discarded. And I authored this. You have felt it in the marrow of your bones, in the very DNA of your spirit, in the inexplicable, stubborn, glorious inability to truly exorcise them from the Holy of Holies within your heart, even when you commanded yourself to do so with all your willpower. That was not a weakness of will or a failure to move on. That was the homing signal of divine memory. That was the eternal part of you recognizing the eternal part of them and refusing to acknowledge the lie of separation. Now, hear this, engraved on the tablet of your heart: the one who seeks to marry you is not arriving on a white horse of human perfection, flawlessly poised and without blemish. But they are arriving profoundly, fundamentally transformed. They have navigated storms you will only learn of in the hushed, intimate hours of shared testimony, storms that carved canyons of compassion in their soul. They have wrestled with angels in the wrestling ground of their dreams and emerged at dawn with a permanent limp of humility and a new name of blessing. They have asked me, their voice choked with the gravel of regret and the honey of hope, do they still think of me? Did I ruin the beautiful thing we were destined to be? Is forgiveness a country whose borders are closed to me? My answer has been unwavering, a steady drumbeat of grace, only if you speak the truth in its raw entirety. Only if you come into the full, unforgiving light of who you are now, broken, redeemed, and desperately in love. And now, fortified by that grace, they are girding themselves with strength not their own to do just that. But the choice, Sovereign One, magnificent in your freedom, remains eternally and respectfully yours. Heaven champions love, it does not conscript it. I prepare the path with meticulous, loving care, removing stones and planting flowers. You must choose to walk it. If you are clinging to the old, painful portrait, the one painted with the brushes of disappointment, mixed with the tears of betrayal, you must let it burn in the very fire that refined them. Watch it curl to ash. What approaches is new, cleansed in holy fire until it shines, brave with a courage sourced directly from my throne, and sacred in its intention to honor you as the living temple you are. They may fumble for the right words, the perfect opening line. The beginning may be awkward, beautifully human, refreshingly free of slick perfection. But their heart will transmit on a frequency your spirit is uniquely tuned to, and it will broadcast a message of love, repentance, and commitment that their lips cannot yet fully form. And you will know, in the deep knowing that transcends knowledge, this is no emotional trick, no nostalgic mirage, no rebound dressed in wedding clothes. This is a promise, made in the council of eternity, now returning to you, clothed in flesh, fidelity, and a future forged in forgiveness. They have been observing you, child, not with a stalker's unhealthy obsession, but with a seeker's reverent, awestruck admiration, from a respectful distance, in a silence that has now become a roaring in their ears. They have made subtle, careful, trembling inquiries about the state of your heart through the grapevine of mutual friends, probing the waters to see if the surface is still frozen by a winter of anger, or if a spring thaw of possibility has begun. Upon discovering you are, in your heart of hearts, still divinely unclaimed, that your heart is a garden waiting for its rightful keeper, and that your anger has turned, by my grace, into a quiet, hopeful, prayerful waiting, they wept tears of staggering, soul-cleansing relief. For in their self-imposed darkness, they believed you were lost to them forever, that they had murdered their own miracle with their own hands. Now, they dare to hope, with a hope that feels like coming up for air after nearly drowning, that perhaps I, in my bottomless mercy, never truly dead-bolted the door, perhaps it was only ever waiting for a knock forged in the white-hot furnace of repentance, refined courage, and resurrected love. And that knock is coming. It is not a question of if, but a divine certainty of when. In 3 days, mark this, circle it on the calendar of your spirit, you will encounter a sign so personal, so undeniably tailored to the secret language between your soul and mine, it will bypass your intellect entirely and speak directly to your spirit in a way that leaves you breathless. A dream where you receive a ring from their hands, and it fits perfectly. Hearing their name called twice in quick succession by two unrelated sources in the most unlikely contexts. A repeating number sequence, 111, 222, 333, 444, appearing with such frequency it feels like a persistent, loving wink from heaven. A whisper in a crowd that carries a specific, private phrase only the two of you shared. A synchronicity so precise, so mathematically improbable, it will raise the hair on your arms and bring spontaneous, unexplainable tears of joy to your eyes. That is your signal, your starting gun. The great unraveling of the old narrative of loneliness has begun. The return of the prodigal promise is underway, not with head bowed in shame, but with arms open in restoration. The shocking, glorious, heart-stopping revelation that someone is preparing, with all seriousness and holy joy, to pledge their entire existence to you, and it is them. They may not declare it with cinematic grandeur or a crowd-worthy gesture at first. The heavens often work in whispers before the shout. A softened message that carries an old, cherished joke. A shared song from your past sent without comment, but pulsing with meaning. I saw this and it reminded me of you, story that holds a fragment of your shared history. These may be the first gentle, testing probes, the first tendrils of connection reaching out across the no-man's land of separation. But the energy, the spirit behind these gestures will roar with the unmistakable truth of a lion, and your soul will vibrate in primal, joyous, tearful recognition. Do not spiritualize this away. Do not flee into analytical overthinking. Do not let fear quarantine the feeling. Feel it. Sit in it. Let it wash over you like a warm, healing rain. For in that moment of resonance, I will be standing in the space between your spirits, a divine conductor ensuring the vibration hits the deepest, most sacred chord of your heart, not just the tympanic membrane of your ear. I will be there, in the unseen, making sure the message lands. Now, beloved, breathe deeply, for I will speak a truth that may rearrange the very continents of your understanding. They were once paralyzed, crippled by the fear of commitment, of being trapped, of losing their fragile, constructed freedom. Now, they are galvanized, propelled by the far greater, more terrifying fear of losing you for all eternity. That tectonic shift in their soul's foundational plates has altered the entire geological landscape of your future together. Mountains of resistance have been leveled, valleys of separation have been raised into highways of connection. They are looking at rings, not as mere jewelry or social symbols, but as physical, circular echoes of an eternal, unbroken covenant. They are seeking counsel from spiritual elders, hungry for wisdom on how to love you well, how to lead a godly home, how to be a covering and a partner. They are rehearsing the conversation with you every night, not to be smooth or impressive, but to be authentically, vulnerably true. They do not want to simply date you, to possess a part of your time and attention. They want to navigate the entire spectrum of human experience, joy, sorrow, victory, defeat, boring Tuesdays and magnificent holidays, with you as their ordained, God-given partner. They want to co-create a legacy of love, faith, and family that outlasts their bones and echoes into generations unborn. They want your sacred, sober, joyful, whispered, shouted yes. You may wonder, your mind grasping for a timeline, why this timing? Why after all this silence, this distance? Because love, true covenant love, is not proven in the comfort of the harbor, where the water is calm and the sun is warm. It is proven, tempered, and made unbreakable in the fury of the storm that teaches the ship its true strength, its reliance on the captain. Both of you have been tested in separate, necessary, custom-designed furnaces. You have wept your way to a wisdom that cannot be taught. You have evolved in a cocoon of isolation so you could meet again not as needy, incomplete halves seeking completion, but as whole, sovereign individuals choosing to create a greater sum. You have loved in the silence of absence, which is the purest, most selfless form of love, for it expects nothing in return, it simply is. Now is the appointed time, the Kairos moment, for that silent, patient love to step into the radiant, vocal, physical truth of mutual presence, not as a fragile fantasy spun from daydreams, but as a flesh and blood, day in day out, for better or worse covenant, etched not in stone, but in fleshly hearts. Marriage is not founded on the fleeting, delightful butterflies of infatuation, but on the brave, consistent, choosing each other again and again love that becomes the unshakable bedrock of a shared world. And that is what approaches you now, with the steady, inevitable pace of destiny. Not a perfect person from a fairy tale, but a persistent, faithful, resilient soul finally ready, eager, to treat your heart as the holy of holies it truly is. This is your confirmation. Your burning bush. Your pillar of cloud by day and fire by night. They were the one all along. The missing note in your chord that made the music feel unresolved. The answer to the question your life has always, secretly been. The name will deliver a holy, glorious shock to your system, not through strangeness or unfamiliarity, but through the devastating, resurrecting power of a familiar truth returning in a glory you never imagined. You will feel the very tectonic plates of your personal geography shift and grind when you hear it spoken with new, covenantal intention, a weight of forever in its pronunciation. It will feel like the first sunrise after a decade of polar night, a light so beautiful, so intense, it brings pain to eyes accustomed to darkness, a pain that is the precursor to overwhelming joy. That is how you will know I am in it, moving through it, smiling upon it with paternal delight. That is how you will know heaven has moved every resource, commanded every angel, and aligned every star to synchronize with the deepest, truest, most ancient cry of your eternal spirit. And when they say your name again, not as a casual address or a label, but as a vow in progress, a whispered sacrament, when they say, I never stopped, and I never will, you will feel every hidden wound, every secret scar, every forgotten bruise upon your soul begin to heal from the inside out with the speed of accelerated, divine time. It will be a healing that feels like reverse memory, where the pain is not just soothed but erased, replaced by the golden light of this moment. You have waited for this day not from a place of lack, desperation, or insecurity, but from a place of divine, hard-won discernment. You did not settle for the convenient, the available, the good enough. You did not offer your sacred, intricately designed self to counterfeits that sparkled under cheap light but held no genuine heat or lasting value. You did not lose yourself, your identity, your sacred boundaries in the shallow, safe end of love's ocean. You preserved the deep waters for the one who could swim in them. And now, I honor that fierce, stubborn, beautiful fidelity with what was always, eternally, unconditionally yours, them. The companion of your soul. The keeper of your flame. The mirror of your best self. The answered prayer you stopped daring to voice. I was the silent, loving witness to the glance you cast their way on a day you thought you were invisible, a glance that held a universe of unspoken knowing, of shared jokes, of seen secrets. And I saw them turn away, not from indifference or rejection, but because the weight of the truth in that look was too glorious, too heavy, too real for their untrained, unprepared shoulders to bear. Real, God-breathed, covenant love is a weighty, magnificent, terrifyingly beautiful thing. It demands absolute, radical truth. It demands the death of the old, false self. It demands a metamorphosis that feels like dying. And now, for the first time, they are changing, not for you as a performance to win you back, but because of you, as the divine catalyst that has made their own soul finally revolt against the inauthentic, the shallow, the temporary. They can no longer fake a peace they do not possess. They can no longer counterfeit a connection that leaves them hollow and hungry. They crave the authentic, the substantial, the eternal, the real. And only you have ever felt like home to them. Only your spirit has ever been a place where theirs could take off its shoes and rest. Child, as you read this, your room is not empty. It is a throne room, a holy of holies. Principalities and powers of light, ranks upon ranks of angelic beings, encircle you in a sphere of protection and celebration. The palpable stillness you feel is not absence, loneliness, or emptiness, it is the thick, tangible fullness of divine presence. We are witnessing the final softening of your heart, the last shard of defensive ice melting in the sun of this promise. Heaven is accounting for every second of your patient, tear-streaked vigil, every sob you wept into your hands when no one saw, every prayer that was less a polished request and more a guttural groan. God, I just want to be seen, known, chosen, loved for who I truly am. I saw you in those moments. I knew you in your rawest state. I chose you before you drew breath. And now, they do, too. With eyes wide open, a heart washed clean, and a spirit aligned with mine. Their vision was once clouded by the cataracts of ego, fear, and immaturity. I have now performed delicate, spiritual surgery. I have dissolved the fog of confusion, silenced the static of the world's voices, and placed your name as a constant, resonant drumbeat within the inner chamber of their chest, a rhythm that now dictates the pace of their thoughts, the focus of their prayers, the very direction of their footsteps. It is a rhythm they cannot escape, nor do they wish to. You are not forgettable. You are indelibly, permanently etched on the scroll of their destiny, a part of their life's scripture. Not merely for your exterior beauty, which fades, but for the stunning, eternal architecture of your soul, the way you listen with your whole being, absorbing not just words but heart cries, the way you love without stratagem, agenda, or an exit plan, the way you hold sacred, non-judgmental space for the broken, reflecting my own heart. That is what drew my paternal, delighted affection to you. And that is the magnetic north, the irresistible gravity, now drawing them home, not to a house, but to a heart. You may feel tremors of ancient fear, aftershocks from old earthquakes. What if this is a magnificent, cruel illusion? What if the old patterns replay like a broken record? But child, you are not the same earthen vessel you once were. You have been fired in the kiln of suffering, glazed with the tears of perseverance, and emerged as fine porcelain, stronger, more refined, more beautiful, and of far greater value. You will not shatter as before. You are wiser, discerning, fortified not by your own strength but by my indwelling spirit. And this time, I will be in the room, not as a distant observer, but as the central, binding, tangible presence, when the conversation unfolds. I will guide their words past the minefields of the past, around the traps of old arguments. I will steady your heart like a father holds the shoulders of his child before their first steps. I will confirm it in the silent, sacred spaces between your shared glances, in the quiet hitch of a breath, for this is my masterpiece of redemption. This is my kairos timing, perfect and unassailable. This is heaven's most deliberate, joyous plan for your earthly joy and eternal glory. The name will arrive not with a shout or a fanfare, but with the gentle, inexorable, inevitable force of a rising tide. It cannot be argued with, only awaited. You may hear it in a line of a song on a shuffled playlist, a lyric that seems to have been written for this moment in your life. You may see it leaping from the page of a book you randomly open, a word highlighted by divine purpose. You may dream it in a technicolor vision so vivid you will awaken with the taste of it in your mouth. When it comes, I want you to whisper back into the atmosphere, a prayer of partnership with destiny. Okay, God. I hear you. My heart is open. I receive this. That simple, profound act of faith will throw a master switch in the spirit realm, unlocking a deluge of confirming signs and wonders. You will see your story reflected in movies you watch, in overheard conversations of strangers, in the flight patterns of birds against the twilight sky. You will see repeating numbers everywhere, on clocks, receipts, license plates, a numerical love letter from heaven. You will feel a palpable, thrilling, vibrational sensation in your chest that is not anxiety's claw, but alignment's anchor, a deep settling into the truth that you are exactly where you are meant to be, on the brink of what you are meant for. This is not passive entertainment, a story to consume. This is an active, sacred, powerful release of a long-held, heaven-resonating decree. Your sustained, focused attention here means you were pre-selected, foreknown, and chosen to receive this dispatch at this exact moment in your spiritual journey. The coming days will be a progressive, unfolding revelation, a divine striptease of grace. A door you thought was a solid, immovable wall will swing open on silent, oiled hinges at the gentlest touch of your faith. A message will arrive that feels like it's from another century, carrying the weight of ancient promise and fresh manna, a secret long held in the darkness, a misunderstanding or a hidden truth, will be exposed to the healing light, not to harm or shame, but to liberate and unite. Love, true, God-breathed, covenant, overcoming, resurrecting love, will step out of the shadows of parable and prophecy and show you its human face, its tear-filled eyes, its hopeful smile. I am not done authoring your story. I am, in this very moment, with the pen of heaven, turning the page that begins the volume entitled, The Covenant Fulfilled, From Loneliness to Legacy. Be gently, lovingly, firmly warned, there will be human voices, perhaps well-meaning from a place of limited understanding, perhaps not, that will try to label this as fantasy, wishful thinking, or foolishness. They will caution you with the wisdom of this world, invoke your past pain as irrefutable evidence to stay closed, safe, and small. Do not let their limited, earthbound narratives drown out the cosmic symphony I am conducting just for you. This is a sacred, exclusive transaction between you, them, and heaven. No third party holds a vote, possesses a veto, or understands the full blueprint. Let them doubt from the safety of the shore. You are being called to walk on the water of this promise. You must watch with spiritual eyes, wait with a heart of patient trust, and stay vulnerably, courageously, scandalously open. For when it unfolds, the glory will be so tangible, so undeniable, so drenched in divine fingerprints, that even the most skeptical, cynical onlooker will be silenced, then compelled to whisper in awe, surely, God was in this place, and I did not know it. His hand is upon them. Now, breathe with me, in this sacred, extended, holy moment. The next 24 hours are a divine countdown, a celestial hourglass turned for the final time. Somewhere in the world, at this exact second, someone is on their knees on a hardwood floor, or staring at a blank screen illuminated in the dark, or pacing a floor wearing a path of prayer, gathering the cosmic, God-given courage to speak to you what has been held in the maximum security prison of their heart for years, what has been their deepest shame and their brightest hope. Do not be alarmed, offended, or scared if it arrives messy, awkward, grammatically imperfect, drenched in raw, unfiltered emotion. The most sacred things in history, birth, redemption, resurrection, were born in the blood, water, and tears of such holy vulnerability. Do not run from the discomfort, the awkwardness, the sheer humanity of it. Sit in it. Let it wash over you like a baptism. For I will be there in the midst of it, my arms forming an unbreakable circle around you both, my peace flowing like costly oil on turbulent waters, washing away every stain of the past, every memory of hurt, until all that remains is the clean slate of a future written together. This is not a cautious, tentative return to the past, trying to recapture a faded photograph. This is a full-throated, resurrection-powered invasion of a future that was only ever delayed, never denied, hidden, never destroyed. The name is coming. It is riding the winds of heaven toward you. And when it lands softly upon the soil of your spirit, I want you to speak your own name back to them, not as a question of identity, who am I, but as a declaration of sovereign selfhood, this is who I am. With the power of one who knows they are radically loved by God, with the love of one who is finally ready to risk again, with the readiness of a warrior poet stepping into their ordained battle of building a kingdom of love. For they are not coming merely to confess a feeling or assuage a guilt. They are coming to ask you a question that will bind your stories, your genealogies, your callings, and your eternities into one inseparable whole for the rest of time and beyond. Your answer, that yes, will shift the spiritual atmosphere over your bloodlines, releasing blessings held back for generations. It will amplify your combined callings into a force heaven uses to reshape realities. It will create a legacy that becomes a lighthouse for the lost long after you are both home with me. If this word has found its resting place, its home, in the sanctuary of your spirit, confirm it now. Do not let the moment pass. Whisper, with belief cracking your voice, God, I'm ready. I receive this. I choose to believe. Speak it aloud. Let the four walls of your room, the furniture, the very air bear witness to your agreement with heaven. Let the angels record your amen to my promise, the sound of your faith activating the circuitry of destiny. For the moment you voice that readiness, the gears of heaven's machinery will engage at a higher, swifter speed. The spiritual energy around you will quicken, become electric. The invisible connection will become a taut, singing wire of light, humming with potential. You may feel a sudden, holy urgency in your body, a chill up your spine, a warmth in your chest, a sense of expansion in your heart, a flutter in your stomach. That is me. That is Archangel Michael delivering the final, activating codes, the encryption keys to your miracle, directly into your spiritual nervous system. It is the touch of heaven making you ready for Earth's greatest gift. It is real. It is happening now in the unseen, in the command center of the universe. You are about to witness its manifestation with your earthly senses, to touch with your hands what your heart has always held. Stay calm in your spirit, a deep, still peace beneath the surface excitement. Stay open in your heart, a door unlocked and a light on in the window. Stay profoundly, intimately, courageously present in this day, for it is the day the Lord has made for this very purpose. For the name you never dared to inscribe on the future you prayed for, the person you believed was a beautifully tragic, closed chapter in the book of your life, is now standing in the full, forgiving, empowering, liberating light of heaven's irreversible yes. And their private whisper has now become heaven's public proclamation, echoed by the angels, God, I'm ready. I'm ready to marry them. Please, let them know it's me. Let them feel the truth of my transformed heart. And I just have. The waiting is over. The season of maybe has closed. You are not waiting anymore. They are. And their wait is almost over, for you are now prepared to receive them. Now, go. Prepare your spirit, not with frantic doing, but with serene being. Prepare to receive the shock of your life, a shock that will feel like the first true, deep, gasping breath after a long, subconscious drowning. For a love that is royal in its dignity, divine in its origin, fierce in its protection, tender in its touch, and everlasting in its vow has rounded the final corner of destiny and is walking, with purpose and passion, toward your door. And the name, that sacred, shocking, beautiful name, is only one surrendered, faithful, expectant heartbeat away. Oh, you are so profoundly welcome, my beloved child. May this certainty now be the very air you breathe, the ground beneath your feet, and the song that sings you to sleep tonight. Go now, held, known, and fiercely loved. Your faith has been your anchor, now let it become your wings. It is done. It is spoken. It is sealed in heaven's book. Now, walk into its unfolding with a heart at peace. You are ready. And so is your miracle.